Hi there, everyone. My name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. And I'm doing something a little out of my normal repertoire. I generally do not do grunge albums because I generally do not like grunge. If you're one of my regular viewers, you know that I usually kind of, when I talk grunge, I don't say things that are necessarily great or nice. We're going to talk about Alice in Chains' Black Gives Way to Blue. I bought this album when it came out, brand new. I really loved it when they dropped the single for Check My Brain. Really dug it, and I figured, well, hey, let's see what they sound like now, see if I dig them a little more now. Because I was never a huge Alice in Chains fan, okay? I had some friends that overplayed the hell out of them, really lost my interest in them. Never found those hooks that I really kind of got into. This album, like I said, Check My Brain, which is track 2 on here, absolutely love. I think it is a great song. It's got some great high energy. But it's not the first song on the album. The first song on the album is All Secrets Known. All Secrets Known is a decent tune. I like the way it builds up. I like the way it starts. It actually has this great vibe that gets the album going in a really cool way. And it makes it really enjoyable. I can totally dig it, and I don't mind listening to it, and it's a great lead-in before I get to Check My Brain. I'm going to be honest, after Check My Brain, I really check out of the album for a while. Like I said, I really like the energy of Check My Brain. It's really got a great vibe, but the thing is, one of the things I've always had an issue with Alice in Chains is the drone. The drone in both the music and the vocals, and it's their trademark kind of sound. So it kind of really turns me off and turns me away. And I'm not the only one I've heard say it over the years. Now, this album, if you put this album into a mix, it's a really cool mix, and it's got a great vibe and flow in a mix with other albums. This album was just in my CD player. 5 discs. I had this in here. I had the Mob Rules double disc remaster, which I've already covered if you're one of my regular viewers. I had Budgie's album, which I can't remember the name of at the moment, which is an upcoming review in there. What was it? Budgie Night Flight was in there. And Alice Cooper Flush the Fashion, which is also an upcoming review. So, if you're one of my regular viewers and you catch this, you'll know that those albums are coming up soon. Now, in a mix with all those, it sounds great. It's got this wonderful mix going on. You get this different vibe and flow. It's really enjoyable. I cannot listen to this album straight through. It bores the living fuck out of me listening to it straight through. I can't do it. I have tried over and over again. Just does not work for me playing through. Each individual cut as its own individual cut works in a mix. So after Check My Brain, we get into Last of My Kind. I don't mind Last of My Kind. It works. It's not a bad tune. At this point, you know what the album's going to sound like because this is pretty much what the rest of the album sounds like. There's a slow kind of drone. Just kind of... There's... It's not a bad tune. It just doesn't work for me. After that, we get into Your Decision. This is definitely classic Alice in Chains sounding here, man. It sounds like when they were doing the MTV Unplugged era kind of thing, and they had that whole thing going on. It's really... If you are a classic Alice in Chains fan, this is going to be one of those songs that is right there in that classic repertoire. A Looking In View, not bad. I don't mind it at all. I'm going to be honest, when it comes to this album, outside of Check My Brain, the 3 songs I enjoy the most are kind of the slowest kind of songs on here, the most stripped back songs. And the first one is When the Sun Rose Again. It's pretty, it's nice. This whole album is definitely, honestly, the band coping and dealing with the loss of... Lane Staley. This is their Back in Black. The only difference is this was, half a decade later kind of thing. a little over half a decade later, But Jerry Cantrell also had his successful solo career going at that point, so there's things. And they decided to get back together, and they got the new vocalist. And I'm sorry, I have to check in here check who it is. The new vocalist is. That's what that's for. But the new vocalist sounds the same as not the same, but close enough. It's a great vibe, a great sound, and they did a really good job with it. And I think any Alice in Chains fans that truly listen to this album, it's an Alice in Chains album. And When the Sun Rose Again is a really good, once again, going back more to that unplugged, but this doesn't have that drone to it. This doesn't have that kind of negative energy. It has a positive kind of very ungrungy kind of vibe to it that, it's just really pretty and really enjoyable. Now, when this album first came out, I really dug Acid Bubble because it really had a lot of different parts to it, kind of vibed and flowed and stuff like that. I really got into it. But as time went on, I kind of lost the feel for Acid Bubble that I used to have. Like, I don't really... For a song that I know for a fact was in at least one of my MP3 mixes for quite a while, it would never go back in an MP3 mix again, and there's quite a few other songs on here that would instead. Lesson Learned. This is, once again, back to classic Alice in Chains. Could have easily been on the Dirt album as far as I'm concerned. Not a bad tune. It is enjoyable. I'm just bored as fuck out at this point listening to this album because I'm back to everything kind of sounding the same again. Then you get to Take Her Out, which, once again, not a bad tune, but, standard Alice in Chains. Then I get to Private Hell, and this one is definitely kind of standard kind of Alice in Chains as well. But I really, really dig this one. This one's definitely, as I've gotten older, I've grown more of appreciation for this one. And I really dig it, and I highly suggest it if you've never listened to Private Hell. It's very, very, very good. And anybody can, get into this one, but if you're going to, basically replicate your own stuff, replicate it in the best way possible, and that's what Private Hell is, I think. And then the album finishes with the album's title track, Black Gives Way to Blue. And my personal order for this album would be Check My Brain, then Black Gives Way to Blue, then Private Hell, then When the Sun Rose Again. That's really, like, if I'm picking my top tracks, that's the way I'm going. And the rest of them, they're all fine, but they're not what I want to hear. And Black Gives Way to Blue is when it's below Check My Brain, it's just below Check My Brain because they're two different songs. Black Gives Way to Blue is not, once again, it's more of that MTV Unplugged kind of era kind of stuff. But this one's more honestly bluesy. This is not grungy or whatnot like that. This is more of a bluesy kind of vibe to it. And for Alice in Chains, it's something familiar but different at the same time. And it's one of those ones where, they could have done it easily 10 years prior and it would have been great. But, they did it when they did it, and it's still a fantastic song. So, if I were a real Alice in Chains fan, I would suggest buying this album. I think any Alice in Chains fan should appreciate this album. I had one buddy who was an Alice in Chains fan that just because it wasn't Lane Stanley, he just wanted nothing to do with it. And he could be a pretentious prick about stuff like that sometimes. Just couldn't move over changes with certain members in bands and stuff like that. Oh, it's just not the same. It's like an imitation. This is not an imitation. It's the band doing what the band does in every way, shape, and form. And I'll be honest, it's probably going to be the last Alice in Chains album I cover for a while. I do actually have a couple of the classic albums. This is the only one I've ever purchased, and the classic albums, the ones I have now, are ones that people gave me, because I got some friends and family members know if they have CDs that they're getting rid of, just to give them to me, because if I'm going to review them at some point one way or another. I've got a whole stack of them I've actually got to get to. And I think when I hit the 300 marker, that's when I'm going to start doing a lot of really off kind of albums from what I have been doing, really break out into some different stuff. Because I got a lot of, oddly, I've got a lot of rap and hip hop and stuff like that that's starting to build up, which I might get into soon. Now, going back to this album, once again, I think it's worth checking out. You know, like I said, I can't handle it as a straight album, but in a mix, I think it's fantastic. I think you should check it out. If you can pick up a used copy, decent price, pick up a used copy for a decent price. Is it worth buying new? It depends on what the price is. Anyways, my thoughts, my views, my opinions. That's what the comment sections for. Let me know what your thoughts, views, and opinions are. Please, feel free. Really, let me know what you think of this album, because I'm just, like I said, I'm not enough of an Alice in Chains fan to really, I think, appreciate this album for what it is. There's that like button, that subscribe button, the bell for the notifications. Hit all those, please. There's a link to Patreon below, please. And peace, love, take care.